That jaw-dropping interview that has everyone scratching their heads, why some sources fear Prince Harry is heading for a breakdown. Prince Harry revealed over the weekend that he's been cut off by his father, King Charles, again, claiming the monarch won't speak to me. This revelation followed Prince Harry's failed legal appeal over his security arrangements in the UK. In his dramatic BBC interview, Harry also unleashed a series of harsh criticisms directed towards his family. Can I just say that that's what kills me the most? That the soundbite everybody grabbed for this was, I would like to reconcile with my family. Okay, well, the majority of the interview was angry. The majority of the interview was not a reflection of that one statement. You have to watch the interview in full, and you're like, that's not a guy that wants reconciliation. That's just a guy that wants his way. It's unfortunate that it's taken Prince Harry 40 years to learn the definition of the word consequences, but it was Princess Diana herself. This is my girlfriend, Maureen Callahan, that reminded me of this, that referred to her youngest son as thick. Here it was on full display. Harry said himself that he has no regrets. He doesn't regret it at all. He continues to take no accountability for his own destructive actions. Yet some are whispering that Harry has been desperately trying to connect with his father and brother through old friends and retired courtiers. Neither have taken the bait, but classic Harry to refuse to follow proper protocol. Keep in mind, this is not the first time Harry has claimed to the media that his father cut him off. Meghan claims Prince Harry lost his father during their original Netflix series, and Harry told Oprah Winfrey back in 2021 that the king wasn't taking his calls, for it later to be revealed that Harry was allegedly calling to harass the then Prince Charles about money, with Charles reportedly telling the late Queen Elizabeth at the time, "I'm not an ATM." Harry also has to acknowledge how silly it looks for him to criticize King Charles for not taking his calls when Meghan Markle hasn't taken Thomas Markle's calls in 7 years. Think about all of the media Thomas Markle has done where he's like, I'm sorry, I miss my daughter. I'd love to meet my grandchildren. You know, Thomas did it first. Do these two ever have an original concept? He says that it's all about safety. But with a wife that insists on utilizing her HRH title despite promises to refrain, how much of this is actually about status and that just irritation he clearly has about not being as respected or seen to equal his brother, the future king, Prince William? Harry recently visited war-torn Ukraine. He visited Nigeria, Colombia, known for its role in the cocaine trade. These are extremely dangerous places, and you're telling me that your ultimate goal all the time is safety? Well, then keep your ass at home, bro. Harry asks for his father to step aside in the interview. He has. He's not involved. A palace spokesperson reinforces that by saying all of these issues have been examined repeatedly and meticulously by the courts, with the same conclusion reached on each occasion. Courtiers reiterating that it is constitutionally inappropriate for King Charles to insert himself in this situation. His hands are clean. After the BBC interview, the Sunday Times reported that a source close to the king said Harry just sees conspiracy every time a decision doesn't go in his direction. He's like a gambler in a casino who can't walk away. He just doubles down. Even when he speaks of reconciliation, it is laced with threats and anger. It's not that the king won't speak to him. It's that he can't. How can you have a private and delicate conversation when you know it is going to end up on a news special within hours? Perhaps if he tried to earn rather than demand a reconciliation, things might go a little better for him. Now, surprisingly, the BBC, which spoke to Harry near his home in Montecito, like hours after the decision came down, did admit to a lapse in editorial standards over its coverage of the interview on Radio 4. They said claims were repeated that the process had been an establishment stitch-up, and we failed to properly challenge this and other allegations. This case is ultimately the responsibility of the Home Office, and we should have reflected their statement. They also said that they should have given the view of Buckingham Palace, which we read you a few seconds ago. Yeah, I'd say that that was a lapse in editorial, guys. Just Prince Harry unleashing, unloading, with no backup. Seems legit. Thanks, BBC. But Harry's choice of outlet to me is this glorious display of his lack of loyalty. Since Harry moved to America, there was that inquiry determining that the BBC concealed critical details about how their journalist, Martin Bashir, obtained that infamous panorama interview with Harry's mother, Princess Diana, a moment that profoundly altered her life for the worse. Led by Lord Dyson, the investigation concluded that the broadcaster downplayed Martin Bashir's use of deceitful methods. Bashir lied to Princess Diana and provided her with forged documents suggesting royal protection was actually spying on her. She was so frightened that she fired her palace security. Many argue, including her former protection officers, that she passed away in that Paris tunnel because she dismissed her royal protection. Her royal protection would have protected her from a scenario like that. Harry running to the same media entity that lied to his mother, potentially causing her such emotional distress, to me is a clear absence of allegiance. And is Harry actually being encouraged by the people around him to talk to the media, which is a terrible idea? Never complain, never explain. See, it tends to work out in the royals' favor more times than not. He also unsuccessfully tries to control the media. You even see that in the way he's like, ask me that again, but break it down in separate questions, which his mother actually was far better at. I think that he thinks he's just as good at it as she was, and there's no way in hell. Harry and Meghan use false claims of victimization to manipulate and conjure empathy, but the Sussexes have been caught in too many porcupines for people to blindly accept their narrative anymore. These two have a wonderfully complicated history with their memories, which, by the way, some say is due to pot smoke. They say that if you smoke too much pot, you have issues with your memory. I'm just throwing that out there. And the truth, there were multiple historical inaccuracies in Prince Harry's books. For instance, the circumstances around the Queen Mother's death. He says he was at Eton. He's photographed in Switzerland skiing with his dad. And he writes in the book that he's all alone at school, or claiming he's a direct descendant of King Henry VI, despite King Henry only having one son who died without children, making that, oh, I don't know, physically impossible. Meghan Markle claimed on Oprah that Archie's lack of a princely title was linked to his skin color. Archie simply hadn't received a prince title yet due to established royal protocol, well established. It's called Google Meghan Markle. Specifically, it was the 1917 decree limiting prince and princess titles to the children of the monarch and children of the monarch's sons. Archie eventually became a prince once his grandfather ascended the throne. We know that because Meghan Markle is relentless about telling us that her children are a prince and princess. I also think it's important to acknowledge that Harry told the courts recently that he and Meghan chose to step down as working members of the British royal family because he didn't feel like they were properly protected. And now he's fighting for the same ineffective security. Then he changed his story during the BBC interview to say they were rejected by the royal family. They can't keep their stories straight. From a PR perspective, this is a Sussex brand nightmare because Harry and Meghan's recent interviews, in my opinion, completely cancel each other out. Harry says he's living a life of fear and misses his family, while Meghan Markle tells the Time 100 Summit that she's never been happier. Is this what your honeymoon period looks like? Because it's giving me whiplash. Someone call Harvey Specter, I feel a post-nump coming on. And while some weirdos that are paid to jump to conclusions on the internet say that Meghan posting a black and white photo of the back of Harry and their kids to express support for her husband, other sources fear Prince Harry is headed for a breakdown. And I truly felt like I saw that watching that interview. We also heard over the weekend that it was supposed to be a 10-minute interview. It was a 30-minute interview. Who's protecting this guy from himself? I mean, when Harry argues that he is still representing the UK and living a life of service, you have to laugh. How's Senabale? How's African Parks Charity? By the way, it annoys me to no end that the BBC was bragging that nothing was off the table, and they didn't ask, how's Senabale? How's African Parks Charity? This is the same man that wrote a book about his frozen Todger and experiencing his mother's presence in the room when he applied Elizabeth Arden cream to his hangdown, losing his virginity in a field behind a pub, taking drugs so potent he had dialogue with a trash can, later basically endorsing drugs in interviews to promote his book. Prince Harry is not a martyr, and he is not living the life of service that we do see from Prince William or the Princess of Wales, or even Edward and Sophie. Why would Harry receive regular risk management board assessments? He no longer lives in the UK. He's no longer their responsibility. He was told he would no longer receive these things if he stepped down as a working member of the royal family. He's asking for special privileges. This is a man that only started paying his own phone bill 5 years ago. I know he's used to getting what he wants, but he might want to pump the brakes when it comes to meltdowns on television. Those can be used against you in a nasty custody case, because eventually the honeymoon is over. Agree with me, disagree with me, let me know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Kinsey Schofield.